Superman is a 2025 American superhero film based on the eponymous character from DC Comics. Written and directed by James Gunn, it is the first film in the DC Universe, DCU, and a reboot of the Superman film series. David Corenswet stars as Clark Kent/Superman, alongside Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, Edi Gathegi, Anthony Carrigan, Nathan Fillion, and Isabella Merced. In the film, Superman faces unintended consequences after he intervenes in an international conflict orchestrated by billionaire Lex Luthor, Holt. Superman must win back public support with the help of his reporter and superhero colleagues. The film was produced by Gunn and Peter Safran of DC Studios. Development on a sequel to the DC Extended Universe, DCEU, film Man of Steel, 2013, began by October 2014, with Henry Cavill set to return as Superman. Plans changed after the troubled production of Justice League, 2017, and the Man of Steel sequel was no longer moving forward by May 2020. Gunn began work on a new Superman film around August 2022. In October, he became co-CEO of DC Studios with Safran and they began work on a new DC universe. Gunn was publicly revealed to be writing the film in December. The title Superman, Legacy was announced the next month. Gunn was confirmed to be directing in March 2023, and Corenswet and Brosnahan, Lois Lane, were cast that June. The subtitle was dropped by the end of February 2024, when filming began in Svalbard, Norway. Production primarily took place at Trilith Studios in Atlanta, Georgia, with location filming around Georgia and Ohio. Filming wrapped in July. The film's influences include the comic book All-Star Superman, 2005 to 2008, by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely. Superman premiered at the TCL Chinese Theater on July 7, 2025, and was released by Warner Bros. Pictures in the United States on July 11. It is the first film in the DCU's Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. The film has grossed $614.6 million worldwide, making it the seventh highest grossing film of 2025, and received mostly positive reviews. Critics found it to be fun, colorful, and earnest, although some felt it was overstuffed, while the performances of Corenswet, Brosnahan, and Holt were praised. A follow-up film, Man of Tomorrow, is scheduled for release on July 9, 2027. Plot: Clark Kent/Superman stops the nation of Boravia from invading the neighboring country of Jarhanpur, and warns Boravian President Vasil Gurkos to leave Jarhanpur alone. In Metropolis, Superman is defeated for the first time by a meta-human called the Hammer of Boravia, and flees to his fortress of Solitude in Antarctica with the help of the superpowered dog Krypto. They are followed by Angela Spica/the Engineer, an ally of billionaire Lex Luthor. Superman's robots use concentrated solar radiation to heal him and comfort Superman with a message from his birth parents, Jor-El and Lara Lorvan, who sent him to Earth to save him from the destruction of their planet Krypton. The message was damaged during the journey, so only the first half can be played. Superman returns to Metropolis and is again beaten by the Hammer, who is secretly Luthor's meta-human Ultraman. Superman agrees to be interviewed by Lois Lane, his girlfriend and reporter colleague at the Daily Planet, leading to an argument when Lois presses him on the legal and ethical implications of his actions in Boravia. Luthor unleashes a kaiju on Metropolis as a distraction while he infiltrates the fortress with Ultraman and the Engineer. They overpower the robots, capture Krypto, and discover the Kryptonian message. The Engineer restores the damaged portion. Superman rescues civilians while fighting the kaiju with the Justice Gang, a team composed of heroes Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl. Despite Superman's wanting to take the creature alive, Mr. Terrific kills it. Luthor broadcasts the Kryptonian message and Superman is shocked to hear the second half, in which his parents urge him to conquer Earth and take many wives to restore the Kryptonian race. Public opinion turns against Superman, especially when he angrily confronts Luthor looking for Krypto. Lois reassures Superman that she believes he is good, and he confesses his love for her before surrendering himself to the US government. They hand him over to Luthor for detainment and questioning inside an artificial pocket universe where Luthor secretly holds his enemies, including Krypto. Superman is imprisoned with the meta-human Metamorpho. Luthor uses Metamorpho's infant son Joey as leverage to force him to transmute one of his hands into kryptonite, rendering Superman powerless. During questioning, Luthor murders one of Superman's supporters, Malik Ali. A horrified Metamorpho agrees to help Superman escape, and they free Joey and Krypto. Lois convinces Mr. Terrific to help find Superman and they enter the Pocket Universe, rescuing the others. Lois takes Superman to recuperate with his adoptive human parents, Jonathan and Martha Kent. Jonathan tells the demoralized Superman that his choices and actions determine who he is, not the message from his birth parents. Luthor's girlfriend Eve Teschmacher, who is infatuated with Daily Planet photographer Jimmy Olsen, provides him evidence that Luthor is aiding Boravia in return for half of Jarhanpur's territory. Luthor imprisons her and lures Superman back to Metropolis by opening an unstable portal to the Pocket Universe, creating a rift in reality that splits the city in half. Superman sends Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Metamorpho to stop Boravia from invading Jarhanpur again. Hawkgirl kills Gurkos and Green Lantern invites Metamorpho to join the Justice Gang. In Metropolis, Superman and Mr. Terrific fight the Engineer and Ultraman. After Superman defeats the Engineer, he learns that Ultraman is a clone of himself created by Luthor. With Krypto's help, Superman defeats Ultraman and knocks him into a black hole beneath the rift. At Luthor's headquarters, Mr. Terrific closes the rift. Luthor says he orchestrated the Jarhanpur conflict as an excuse to implicate Superman, driven by envy of his public admiration despite being an alien. Superman challenges his ideology, but Luthor remains defiant and is subdued by Krypto. Lois and Jimmy expose Luthor's schemes to the public, clearing Superman's name. Luthor and his associates are arrested, and those trapped in his pocket universe, including Eve, are freed. Lois confesses that she loves Clark too. As Superman recovers at the fortress, his cousin Kara Zor-El drunkenly arrives to pick up Krypto. The robots comfort Superman with footage of his childhood on Earth with his human parents. Cast: Clark Kent actor David Corenswet during filming in 2024, wearing glasses and a suit while carrying a newspaper and a briefcase. Lois Lane actress Rachel Brosnahan during filming in 2024, holding an umbrella. Superman stars David Corenswet, top, and Rachel Brosnahan, bottom, during filming in June 2024. David Corenswet as Clark Kent/Superman. A survivor from the destroyed planet Krypton who lives on Earth as a superhero. He maintains a separate identity at his day job, working as a journalist for the Daily Planet in Metropolis. 5/6 director James Gunn said Corenswet Superman is around 25 years old, making him more established than Tom Welling's version from the CW series Smallville, 2001 to 2011, but younger than Henry Cavill's version in the DC Extended Universe, DCEU. 7 producer Peter Safran described the film's take on the character for the DC Universe, DCU, as the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way and kindness in a world that thinks of kindness as old-fashioned. 8 Gunn said Clark is becoming successful as both a journalist and a superhero in the film, but new elements in his life leave him unbalanced. These include being madly in love with his colleague Lois Lane, and making friends with other superheroes who think he is naive. The film shows how these elements impact Clark's values and choices, 9 which are flawed, and put him on a personal journey. Corenswet differentiated the role between Clark's interactions with his parents, his job at the Daily Planet, and as Superman. He described Superman as a public-facing character who wants to present himself as calm but with authority. Corenswet drew inspiration for Clark from the comic book All-Star Superman, 2005 to 2008, by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely, and the posture of Christopher Reeve's portrayal from the 1978-87 Superman film series. He was also inspired for Clark's voice and demeanor by his brother-in-law, whom he described as the quietest, most wonderful man despite his tall 6 feet 8 inches, 2.03 meters, height and weighing 270 pounds, and described Clark as a big presence who is desperately trying to be as small as possible and as quiet as possible. 10 Gunn consulted DC Comics writer Tom King in relation to other characters' suspension of disbelief regarding Clark's dual identity, which was attributed to the use of hypnotic glasses to subtly distort his appearance. Gunn included this in the film, noting that it had kind of been forgotten from the comic book canon. 11 Corenswet also portrays Ultraman, an armored clone of Superman created by Lex Luthor who masquerades as the Hammer of Boravia. 12 Oliver Diego Silva portrays Clark at age 2. 13. Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. A reporter for the Daily Planet who is a colleague of Clark 614 and isn't so sure about him and needs to be convinced about being in a relationship with him. 9-10 Brosnahan described Lois as fiercely intelligent and feisty. 15 She consulted with several journalists to help her portray Lois as a modern reporter, contrasting with the character's original comics appearances and previous screen portrayals. 16. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. The CEO of Luthor Corp and the arch-nemesis of Superman 14-17-18 who hates Superman for having the power to do everything but not aligning with Luthor's own beliefs. 1920 Hoult described Luthor as obsessive, determined, and relentless, and wanted the character to feel like a credible threat to Superman. He has his end goal in sight and is motivated by many emotions, including a need to be recognized for his scientific genius. 20 Hoult was inspired by Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor in Smallville and by billionaire Steve Jobs for Luthor's uniform, choosing to work out for the role based on the depiction of Luthor in All-Star Superman. 2021 Hoult's head was shaved by his son Joaquin in preparation for the role. 22 Gunn took inspiration for the character from Brian Azzarello's limited comic book series Lex Luthor, Man of Steel, 2005, as well as Jerry Siegel's reckless scientific genius version of Luthor in comic books from the 1950s and 1960s. 23. Edi Gathaji as Michael Holt / Mr. Terrific. A superhero and inventor who uses a variety of high-tech gadgets to fight crime. 1424 and is a member of the Justice Gang sponsored by Maxwell Lord. 25 Gathaji described his character as an atheist who believes in justice, and said Holt found meaning in knowledge after experiencing the death of his wife. 25. Anthony Carrigan as Rex Mason / Metamorpho. An archaeologist and superhero who can transmute elements in his body into various forms. 26 He becomes a member of the Justice Gang. 27 Carrigan said it was refreshing to play a superhero after previously portraying the Batman villain Victor Zsasz in the television series Gotham, 2014 to 2019. He felt that he could bring some authenticity and truth to the role by comparing Metamorpho's concerns about his abilities to Carrigan's own alopecia. 28. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner / Green Lantern. An abrasive galactic peacekeeper in the Green Lantern Corps. 24 and a Justice Gang member. 25 whom Fillion described as a fearless, overconfident jerk. 29 Fillion drew inspiration for Gardner speaking his mind with no filter from Estelle Getty's Sophia Petrillo in the sitcom The Golden Girls, 1985 to 1992. Fillion referred back to the character's origin story, in which Gardner was hit by a bus and sent into a coma as what flipped the switch for his personality, making him off a little bit. 30 The film retains the character's iconic bowl-cut haircut from the comics. 24 which Fillion insisted on having despite some discussions about changing his hairstyle. 30. Isabella Merced as Kendra Saunders / Hawkgirl. A superhero with wings and various melee weapons who is a Justice Gang member. She is reincarnated from an alien, retaining her memories and past trauma with a grumpy demeanor. 31-24 Merced felt the self-awareness and comedic aspects of the film helped Saunders make light of her trauma. 31 Merced's short 5 feet 1 inch, 1.55 meters, height differentiates her from other DCU heroes. 24 Merced felt that her role as Anya Corazon in the Sony's Spider-Man universe, film Madam Web, 2024, helped prepare her to play Hawkgirl, though she did not tell the Superman filmmakers about that role in case they did not want her to play both. 32. Skyla Gisondo plays Jimmy Olsen, a boyish young photographer who is Clark and Lois's closest colleague. 33 While Wendell Pierce plays Daily Planet editor-in-chief Perry White. 34 Pierce said Perry is always grumpy because Luthor had an affair with Perry's wife, and Perry's second child may actually be Luthor's, so Perry's driving force is wanting to get back at Luthor. 35. 1619 to 1643 The actor asked his friends for information on the character because he did not read comic books growing up. 36 Other staff at the Daily Planet include Beck Bennett as reporter Steve Lombard, 37 Michaela Hoover as columnist Kat Grant, and Christopher McDonald as reporter Ron Troop. 38 Pruitt Taylor Vince and Neva Howell respectively play Jonathan and Martha Kent, Clark's adoptive human parents. 39 40 and studied tapes of drummer and radio personality Richard Christie's parents to develop their Kansan accents for the film. 41 Bradley Cooper, who previously collaborated with Gunn on his Guardians of the Galaxy films, 2014 to 2023, and Angela Sarafian respectively portray Superman's Kryptonian parents Jor-El and Lara Lorvan. 42-43 of the Superman robots who aid Superman at the Fortress of Solitude, prior Gunn collaborators Alan Tudyk, Michael Rooker, and Pomkal Mentiev respectively voice 4, later named Gary, 1, and 5, with Grace Chan as the voice of 12. 44-45-46 Gunn's wife Jennifer Holland is the uncredited voice of another robot at the end of the film. 47 Dinesh Thiagarajan plays Malik Ali, a falafel cart vendor who supports Superman. 48 Dog actor Jolene stood in for the superpowered dog Crypto, whom Gunn described as a not-so-good good boy. The character was primarily created with visual effects. 49.9 and was modeled after Gunn's dog Ozu. 50. Sarah Sampaio portrays Eve Teschmacher, Luthor's assistant and girlfriend who is secretly involved with Jimmy. 51-25 She felt comfortable performing with Holt after working with him on a campaign for Armani. 52-53 Maria Gabriela de Faria plays Angela Spica / the Engineer, an ally of Luthor whose abilities come from nanotechnology in her body. She appears ahead of a planned film about the Authority, the team that she is a member of in the comics. 54-25 Other allies of Luthor include Zlatko Burik as Vasil Gurkos, the president of Boravia. 42 Terrence Rosemore and Stephen Blackheart as Luthor Corp employees Otis Berg and Sidney Hafferson, respectively. 56-57 and Trevor Newland as the humanoid creature Mr. Handsome. Gunn said Luthor created Mr. Handsome when he was 12 and has true sentiment for the creature. 48-58 Comedian Michael Ian Black plays Clevie Thornwade, host of the right-wing talk show The Sphere who runs a smear campaign against Superman. 42-59 While James Hiroyuki Liao portrays General Mori, the U.S. Secretary of Defense. 60. Additionally, Frank Grillo reprises his role as ARG U.S. Director Rick Flag Sr. from the animated DCU series Creature Commandos, 2024, present. 61-62 Tanashi Kaji's Bolden reprises her role as ARG U.S. member Flo Crawley, now a U.S. Secretary, from the DCEU film The Suicide Squad, 2021. 42 Millie Alcock has an uncredited cameo appearance as Superman's cousin Kara Zor-El / Supergirl ahead of her own film, Supergirl, 2026. 63 John Cena has an uncredited cameo appearance as Chris Smith / Peacemaker on a news show, mocking Superman, ahead of his role in the second season of Peacemaker, 2025. 42 and Gunn's brother Sean has a cameo appearance as billionaire Maxwell Lord, the head of Lord Tech and the corporate backer of the Justice Gang. 25-31 Sean said they ignored past depictions of Lord when creating their version, including Peter Facinelli's portrayal in the Arrowverse series Supergirl, 2015 to 2021, and Pedro Pascal's portrayal in the DCEU film Wonder Woman 1984, 2020. 64 other cameo appearances include ABC News correspondent Will Reeve, the son of Christopher Reeve, as a GBS News reporter 6542 Michael Rosenbaum, who portrayed Luthor in Smallville, as the voice of one of Luthor's Raptor guards 42 and Louisa Krause in the non-speaking role of Sapphire Stagg, Metamorpho's wife. 48. Production. Background. Warner Brothers Pictures was planning in 2012 for the film Man of Steel, 2013, based on the DC Comics character Superman, to start a shared universe 66 which became known as the DC Extended Universe, DCEU. 67-68 They announced a full slate of DC films in October 2014. 69 Prioritizing Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, 2016, as the second DCEU film after Man of Steel failed to meet the studio's financial expectations. 70 Despite this, they said an undated sequel to Man of Steel was in development with Henry Cavill set to reprise his role as Clark Kent/Superman. 69 Man of Steel director Zack Snyder said they had been considering the imprisoned Kryptonians from the first film and the character Brainiac as antagonists for the sequel before work began on Batman v Superman. 70 A Man of Steel sequel was in active development as a top priority for the studio in August 2016. 71 which Cavill's manager Danny Garcia confirmed the following month. 72 Amy Adams, who portrayed Lois Lane in Man of Steel, said in November that the studio was working on the screenplay. 73 Matthew Vaughn was Warner Brothers' top choice to direct the film and had preliminary conversations about it by March 2017. 74 Vaughn and comic book writer Mark Millar previously pitched a new Superman trilogy prior to the development of Man of Steel, in which the destruction of the planet Krypton would not occur until after Superman had already grown up on the planet. 75 After the troubled production of the DCEU film Justice League, 2017, Warner Brothers rethought its approach to DC projects. 76 By the end of 2017, a Man of Steel sequel was not coming anytime soon, if at all. Justice League producer Charles Roven said story ideas had been discussed but there was no script. 77. Before the release of Mission Impossible: Fallout in July 2018, director Christopher McQuarrie and co-star Cavill pitched their take on a new Superman film, partially inspired by the animated film Up, 2009, but Warner Brothers did not pursue the idea. 78-79 Later in 2018, the studio asked James Gunn to write and direct a Superman film, but he was uncertain if he wanted to take on the character. 80-81 He did not have a clear vision, especially since Superman is a well-known character unlike the Guardians of the Galaxy whom he adapted for Marvel Studios in the film Guardians of the Galaxy, 2014. 82 Gunn chose to make the Suicide Squad, 2021, instead 80-81 calling it the easier path. 83 In September, negotiations for Cavill to reprise his role for a cameo appearance in Shazam 2019, ended due to contract issues. 84 As well as a scheduling conflict with Cavill's Mission Impossible commitments. 84-85 Cavill was reported to be parting ways with the studio, with no plans for him to reprise his role in future projects. 84 But Cavill said in November 2019 that he had not given up on the character and still wanted to do the role justice. 85 At that time, Warner Brothers was unsure which direction to take the character and was talking to high-profile talent about the property, including J.J. Abrams, whose company Bad Robot signed an overall deal with Warner Brothers' parent company Warner Media, and Michael B. Jordan, who pitched himself as a black version of the character. 86 By May 2020, Warner Brothers was no longer developing a Man of Steel sequel, but Cavill was in talks to appear in a different DC film. 87-88 In February 2021, Ta-Nehisi Coates was revealed to be writing a new Superman film that Abrams was producing. 89 The film was expected to feature a black actor portraying Superman, with the potential for Jordan to take on the role. 90. Development. Filmmaker James Gunn during filming in June 2024. Writer and director James Gunn, pictured during filming in June 2024, began work on a new Superman film in August 2022. In April 2022, Discovery Incorporated and Warner Media merged to become Warner Brothers. Discovery, WBD, led by President and CEO David Zaslav. The new company was expected to restructure DC Entertainment, and Zaslav began searching for an equivalent to Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige to lead the new subsidiary. Zaslav and WBD felt DC lacked a coherent creative and brand strategy and were underusing Superman. 91. Over the years, Gunn considered how he would approach Superman if he were ever given another opportunity. 83. And around late August 2022 he was hired to work on a Superman film that was not a sequel to Man of Steel and would be standalone from the DCEU. 92-93 Zaslav spent time with Gunn while he was writing the script. 94. Cavill made a cameo appearance in the post-credits scene of the DCEU film Black Adam, released in October 2022, and Warner Brothers was reportedly pursuing a Cavill-led Man of Steel sequel once again. Rowan was producing and the studio was searching for writers. They wanted McQuarrie to direct, but he was unlikely to be available due to his commitments to the Mission Impossible franchise. Coates's film was still in development. Cavill's role in Black Adam was approved by Warner Brothers film chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdi when they were approached directly by Black Adam star Dwayne Johnson. Johnson began promoting the idea of a Black Adam vs. Superman film co-starring Cavill. 95 The latter signed a one-off deal for Black Adam and only received a verbal agreement that he would continue playing the character in the DCEU. 96-97 Cavill publicly announced that he would return as Superman for future projects. 97-98 and said his Black Adam cameo was a very small taste of future plans. 98 He said Superman would be enormously joyful moving forward. 99 Stephen Knight wrote a script treatment for the sequel around that time. 100 which reportedly included Brainiac as the antagonist. 97 But Warner Brothers executives were not thrilled with his take. 100 Michael Bay was eyed to potentially direct the film. 2. Gunn and the Suicide Squad producer Peter Safran were announced as the co-chairs and co-CEOs of the newly formed DC Studios at the end of October 2022. 101 A week after starting their new roles, the pair had begun developing an 8 to 10 year plan for a new DC universe, DCU, that would be a soft reboot of the DCEU. 102 103 104 In mid-November, Gunn was publicly revealed to be writing a new DC film. 105 Andy Muschietti, director of the DCEU film The Flash, 2023, expressed interest in directing a Superman project with a similar tone to director Richard Donner's film Superman, 1978. 106 In early November, Cavill expressed interest in a future project that explored Superman's capacity to give and to love the people of Earth and to inspire others. 107 And said he was looking forward to meeting with Gunn to discuss future opportunities. 108 Work on the Man of Steel sequel stalled later that month while Gunn and Safran were developing their plans. 109 In December 2022, Gunn said Superman was a big priority, if not the biggest, for DC Studios. 110 Before publicly announcing that he was writing a new Superman film. The film was set to focus on a younger version of the character and would therefore not star Cavill. There was potential for Gunn to also direct the film. 5 It would not retell the origin of Superman. 111 And would focus on him as a young reporter interacting with key characters such as Lois Lane. 112 Gunn and Safran met with Cavill to explain their decision and discuss potentially working with him for a different role in the future. 112 On January 31, 2023, Gunn and Safran unveiled the first projects from their DCU slate, which begins with Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Their Superman film was the first film in that chapter and was officially titled Superman, Legacy. It was given a release date of July 11, 2025 113, which coincides with the birthday of Gunn's late father. 114 Safran wanted Gunn to direct the film. 113 Gunn said Superman Legacy would take specific inspiration from the comic book All-Star Superman, 2005 to 2008, by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely. 7. The film was also inspired by the Superman animated shorts, 1941 to 1943, and the Superman, the animated series, 1996 to 2000, 115, and by other comics books such as Superman, Birthright, 2003, 04, The Brainiac Story Arc, 2008, Superman, Ending Battle, 2002, 116 Superman for All Seasons, 1998, 117 Kingdom Come, 1996, Morrison's Action Comics run, and Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, 1986. 115 Gunn also cited the kaiju film, Godzilla -1, 2023, as an inspiration in regards to the humanity of the characters as well as the depiction of the giant monster that attacks Metropolis. 115. DCU writer Tom King said in March 2023 that Gunn was also directing the film 118, which Gunn confirmed later that month. 119 At that time, Safran was confirmed to be producing the film 114, doing so through his production company the Safran Company, with Gunn also producing through his production company Troll Court Entertainment. 120 Gunn was hesitant to direct the film, despite encouragement from Safran and others, until he realized how focusing on Superman's heritage with his aristocratic Kryptonian parents and adoptive farmer parents from Smallville, Kansas, would inform the characterization. Gunn felt emotionally connected to this aspect of the film because of his late father. 114 He said in April that the film's tone would differ from his Guardians of the Galaxy films, 2014 to 2023, 121, and he suggested that Superman's dog Krypto could appear. 121 122 123. Pre-production. Before and during the 2023 labor strikes. Production design, costume design, and casting began in April 2023. 82-124 Production designer Beth Mickle and costume designer Judiana Makovsky returned from the Suicide Squad and Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, 2023. 125-126 Filming was set to begin in January 2024. 82 Gunn said the character Jimmy Olsen would appear. 127 He did not intend for the film to be a comedy and hoped it would differ from previous Superman films while respecting what came before. 82 Gunn completed the first draft of the script at the end of April. Production was not expected to be impacted by the 2023 Writers Guild of America strike when it began in early May. 128. Image of David Corenswet suiting up as Superman while an alien-looking threat attacks in the background. Promotional image which revealed star David Corenswet in costume as Superman for the first time. Gunn was looking for an actor to play Superman who possessed the character's humanity, kindness, and compassion, and was somebody who you want to give a hug. 129 audition tapes for the main roles of Superman, Lois Lane, and Lex Luthor were submitted by early May 2023. Gunn began watching them later that month. 130 While he was storyboarding the film. 131 At this point, Gunn watched the film Pearl, 2022, and David Corenswet's performance in it stood out to him. Corenswet had previously expressed his desire to portray Superman and his audition was one of the first Gunn saw. 10 Corenswet became a top contender for Superman and was set to do a screen test by early June. Jacob Elordi, Tom Brittney, and Andrew Richardson were also in consideration. 130 though Elordi declined to read for the role. 132 Patrick Schwarzenegger, the Arrowverse series Supergirl, 2015 to 2021, guest star Pearson Fode, and Jack Quaid the voice of Superman in the animated series My Adventures with Superman, 2023, present, all submitted self-tapes for Superman. 133 134 135 Emma Mackey, Rachel Brosnahan, Samara Weaving, and Phoebe Dynevor tested for Lane 18. 130 Dynevor was one of the final contenders. 136 Brosnahan made an audition tape with her husband Jason Ralph, who read Superman's lines. 137 Nicholas Hoult, the runner-up to play Bruce Wayne/Batman in the standalone DC film The Batman, 2022, Com18 was eyed for Luthor but chose to pursue the role of Superman instead. 55 Because he felt while he could play Luthor well, he insisted himself to focus on auditioning for Superman. 20 Gunn considered A-list actors he had already worked with for Luthor and discussed the role with the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 actor that was reported to be Bradley Cooper. 18 138 139 black actors were also being considered. 140 testing took place using the label Apex, a reference to a comic version of Luthor called Apex Luthor. 140 other superheroes were expected to be established in the film's setting. 18 with casting underway for a black actor to play Michael Holt/Mr. Terrific and for an Asian or Latina actress to portray a character labeled Blitz. 141 142 in-person screen tests took place at the Warner Brothers Studios lot in Burbank, California, with Gunn and Safran in mid-June 2023. The actors tested in makeup and costume as Kent and Lane in the following pairs: Holt and Brosnahan, Brittany and Dynevor, and Corenswet and Mackey. 55 143 The Kent contenders then tested in costume as Superman against Mackey. 55 One of Cavill's original DCEU Superman suits, which was in poor condition, was used for the tests. Gunn said Brittany messed it up and then it was torn to shreds by Corenswet, who was too tall. 144 Gunn edited the tests together to be played for a deciding committee that included Zaslav. 55 And the casting of Corenswet as Superman and Brosnahan as Lane was announced on June 27. 6 Gunn personally contacted the actors to inform them of their castings. 9 137 And he offered the role of Superman to Corenswet while he was filming Twisters, 2024, on the condition that he treat everyone involved in the film with kindness and respect, citing his experiences with Chris Pratt, Peter Quill/Star-Lord in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and John Cena, Christopher Smith/Peacemaker in the DCEU, doing the same. 9 Casting for other roles was set to follow, including for members of the superhero team The Authority who were expected to be introduced in Superman Legacy ahead of a planned film about the team. 55 145 brothers Alexander and Bill Skarsgård were on the short list for Luthor. It was unclear if Holt would return to try for Luthor again. 55 But Gunn later contacted Holt about playing Luthor, which he accepted after realizing he was more suited for that role. 20 Corenswet and Brosnahan each earned $750,000 for their roles, while Holt was the highest paid actor in Superman, earning $2 million. They were all eligible for bonuses based on the film's box office performance. Gunn was paid $15 million for his work on Superman, in addition to his 7-figure salary for his role at DC Studios. 146 147 On July 11, 2023, 2 years before the film's scheduled release date, 148 the casting of Isabella Merced, Edi Gathaji, and Nathan Fillion, respectively, as the superheroes Kendra Saunders/Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, and Guy Gardner/Green Lantern was announced. 24 Merced tested as Barbara Gordon/Batgirl for the unreleased DCEU film Batgirl. 149 While Fillion starred in several of Gunn's earlier films, including as Corey Pitzner/TDK in The Suicide Squad, and had previously voiced fellow Green Lantern Hal Jordan in several animated projects. 24 150 Gathaji was cast over 200 other actors. 151 Anthony Carrigan, who expressed interest in playing Luthor, was cast as the superhero Rex Mason/Metamorpho the next day. 26/152 Gunn chose some of these actors some time earlier but had been waiting until Superman and Lane were cast before negotiating further actor deals, leaving little time to complete negotiations before the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike began on July 14. 26/153 In response to concerns that other superheroes would take away from the story of Superman and Lane, Gunn said those two characters remained the film's focus and the other actors were being cast for multiple DCU projects. 148 He later elaborated that a large cast of characters was included in the film because he wanted to explore Clark Kent's interactions with his colleagues and Superman's interactions with other superheroes. 154 And show how those groups impact the characters' values and choices. 9. Post-labor strikes. Jimmy Olsen actor Skyla Gisondo during filming in June 2024. Cat Grant actress Michaela Hoover during filming in June 2024. Eve Teschmacher actress Sarah Sampaio during filming in June 2024. Superman supporting cast members Skyla Gisondo, left, Michaela Hoover, center, and Sarah Sampaio, right, during filming in June 2024. When the UGA strike ended in September 2023, Superman Legacy was expected to begin filming in early to mid-2024. 155 Jason Momoa, who portrayed Aquaman in the DCEU, was reported the following month to have discussed portraying the character Lobo in either this film or a solo film. 156 He was later cast in that role for the DCU film Supergirl, 2026, originally titled Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. 157 The SAG-AFTRA strike ended on November 9, and filming was clarified to be beginning in March 2024. 158 159 Gunn said the film would still make its July 2025 release date. 160 Maria Gabriela de Faria was revealed to be cast as Angela Spica/The Engineer, one of the film's antagonists and a member of the Authority, in mid-November. 54 Madison Beer said she submitted a self-tape and unsuccessfully auditioned for a role, as did O'Shea Jackson Jr. 161 162 Holt was in talks to portray Luthor prior to the SAG-AFTRA strike, and negotiations for the role were continuing in November. 163 164 When Skyla Gisondo and Sarah Sampaio were revealed to have been respectively cast as Jimmy Olsen and Luthor's assistant Eve Teschmacher. 3351 Gunn said Gisondo, Sampaio, and de Faria had been cast prior to the strike. 165 And the roles of Mr. Terrific and Teschmacher were particularly difficult to cast and required many auditions. 166 In December 2023, Gunn's brother Sean was cast as Maxwell Lord for future DCU projects, after Pedro Pascal played the role in the DCEU film Wonder Woman 1984. 2020. The character was expected to be referenced in Superman Legacy, but it was unknown if he would appear in the film. 167 James Gunn confirmed that Holt had finalized a deal to portray Luthor 17 and Miriam Shore entered negotiations for an undisclosed role after appearing in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. 168 The Hollywood Reporter also said the cast included Sean Gunn and Pom Klementieff, who starred in the Guardians of the Galaxy films, before James Gunn stated that Klementieff was not involved in the film and Shore had not been cast. 168 169 170 He added that the film's script had been mostly completed before the writers' strike. 171 Gunn said in January that work on the sets, prosthetics, and visual effects models were underway, the costumes were being completed, and most of the actors had been cast. 172 Brosnahan said the film was being made with a lot of love for the source material, as many cast and crew members had grown up watching Superman films and reading the comics. 15 At the end of the month, Millie Alcock was cast as Superman's cousin Kara Zor-El/Supergirl. The character was reported to be making her debut in Superman Legacy ahead of starring in her own DCU film, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. 173, 174, 175, 176. Alcock had performed auditions and screen tests in costume on the Superman Legacy set in Atlanta, Georgia, earlier in January. 176, 177. Pre-production work in Ohio began in early February 2024. 178, with the Ohio Department of Development announcing that Superman Legacy would be partially filmed in Cleveland and Cincinnati. The film was awarded over $11 million through the state's tax credit program. 178, 179, based on a $37 million spent in the state out of the film's reported total gross production budget of $363.80 million. 181. Gunn disputed the accuracy of this budget, which would have made it one of the most expensive superhero films ever made. 182, 181. The film was later reported to have a net production budget of $225 million with incentives and tax breaks factored in. 181. 2. Also in February, Bassem Youssef said he had been cast in the film reportedly as Rahman Harjati, the leader of a fictional Middle Eastern country, but his character was removed from the script. He believed this was potentially due to comments he made in October 2023 criticizing the Israeli government during the Gaza war. Gunn disputed this, explaining that he discussed a role with Youssef before the August strike, but the actor had not been formally offered the part, and the character was removed after the strike ended and before Youssef's comments were made. 183, 184, 185. A table read with the cast was held on February 22, and Gunn revealed that Terrence Rosemore was portraying Luthor's henchman Otisburg after having small roles in some of Gunn's prior films. 56. Zaslav said filming would begin the following week. 186. When Gunn announced that he had shortened the film's title to Superman. 187. He had come to feel while writing the film that it was about looking forward while the Legacy subtitle was about looking backward. 187, 188. Filming. Principal photography began on February 29, 2024, which is Superman's birthday in the comic books. 187. Filming took place in the Adventdalen Valley in Svalbard, Norway, for 1 week to shoot scenes featuring the Fortress of Solitude. Gunn chose Svalbard for its natural beauty, landscapes, and similarities to Antarctica, where the fortress is located. 189, 190. Filming occurred under the working title Genesis. 178, 191. Henry Braham returned as cinematographer from the later two Guardians of the Galaxy films, The Suicide Squad, and The Flash. 192. The entire film was shot using IMAX certified red digital cinema cameras. 193, 194. Filming was delayed from an initial January 2024 start by the SAG-AFTRA strike. 159 and was expected to last around 4 months. 195. Effects studio Legacy Effects worked on the film's practical effects. 196, 197. Contributing character designs, prosthetic makeup, specialty suits, and animatronics. 198. A Metropolis police car on a Cleveland street in the foreground with a Greetings from Metropolis sign in the background. The entrance to the Daily Planet Leader building in Cleveland with a world globe above the center door. A police car and buildings decorated with Metropolis decal, left, and the Leader building decorated as the entrance to the Daily Planet, right, during location filming in Cleveland in June 2024. Wendell Pierce was cast as Perry White at the start of March 34. Filming at Trilith Studios in Atlanta, Georgia, had begun by March 8 and was expected to last until August 2. 191, 199. Filming in Cleveland and Cincinnati was set to take 37 days between April 1 and August 23. 178, 179. Filming was also expected to take place in Macon, Georgia. 200. In April, Pruitt Taylor Vince and Neva Howell were cast as Jonathan and Martha Kent in April 3940, while Beck Bennett, Michaela Hoover, and newcomer Christopher McDonald were cast as Daily Planet employees Steve Lombard 37201, Pat Grant, and Ron Troop in June. Hoover previously appeared in several of Gunn's films. 38 Corenswet and Brosnahan filmed a 12-minute interview scene together, which Gunn described as 10% of the film shot in 2 days, and highlighted their chemistry as palpable. 9. The 1940 film His Girl Friday was a major reference for depicting their relationship as equal matchees for each other, with a longing romance and witty comedy inspired by the works of Preston Sturges. 10 characters from the animated DCU series Creature Commandos, 2024, present, were expected to appear in the film, and Gunn and Safran intended for the same actors to portray characters across animation and live action in the DCU. 202-203 set photos revealed that Frank Grillo was reprising his role as Rick Flag Sr. from that series. 61. The production moved to Northeast Ohio on June 14, when filming took place at the Headlands Beach State Park in Mentor, Ohio. 204 6 weeks of filming took place throughout Cleveland. 205 beginning in downtown Cleveland on June 24. 206 filming locations included Ontario Street, the Cleveland Greyhound Station, Public Square, the Detroit, Superior Bridge, PNC Plaza, Progressive Field, and Cleveland Arcade. Exterior shots of the Huntington Bank Building, Key Tower, and the Soldiers and Sailors Monument were filmed in Public Square. 207-208 The exterior of the Leader Building stood in for the headquarters of the Daily Planet. 209 and Key Tower was used as the headquarters for Stag Enterprises. 210 Filming in Cleveland was completed on July 16, when Gunn said there were a couple weeks left of shooting. 205-208 The production moved to Cincinnati by July 18, taking place at the Cincinnati Museum Center in Union Terminal and in the Lytle Tunnel. 211 Filming wrapped on July 30. 212 Post-production. In August 2024, Sean Gunn confirmed his casting as Maxwell Lord for the film. 64 The following month, Alan Tudyk was revealed to have a role in the film after voicing several characters in Creature Commandos. Tudyk voices the Superman robot for 213-44 Wade revealed that Crypto was appearing in the film 214, which Gunn officially confirmed in October. He explained that the character's portrayal was inspired by his dog Ozu, who was adopted soon after Gunn began writing Superman, and said Ozu was at first problematic to say the least. I remember thinking, gosh, how difficult would life be if Ozu had superpowers? And thus Crypto came into the script and changed the shape of the story. 49. How can you take a character like this, who's perceived as old-fashioned by many? There have been so many different permutations of the character throughout the years, so how could you do it for a modern audience? I knew what I wanted to do in creating a story that was both utterly human and utterly fantastic. It has all the fantastic elements that we've never really seen in a Superman movie: the flying dog, the giant kaiju, pocket universes, science, and sorcery, and all these things that were in the old Max Fleischer cartoons. Writer and director James Gunn discussing the film in April 2025. 83. Gunn began test screening the film by the start of December. 215 A day and a half of individual pickup shots were scheduled to take place in Los Angeles shortly after, which Gunn said was to enhance the film rather than reshoot any scenes. 216 Alcock was confirmed to be appearing in the film in January 2025. 63 3 days of pickups had also taken place in Atlanta by the end of May. 217 and Gunn said the film was completed and received a picture lock on June 5. 218 Later that month, Michael Rooker and Clementieff were confirmed to have voiced two Superman robots alongside Cooper and Angela Sarafian as Superman's Kryptonian parents Jor-El and Lara Lorvan. 46-43 William Hoy and Craig Alpert co-edited the film, after they respectively worked on the DC films The Batman and Blue Beetle, 2023. 120. Much of the visual effects team from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 returned to work with Gunn on Superman 219, including visual effects supervisor Stephen Cioretti. 220 visual effects were provided by Framestore, Industrial Light and Magic, ILM, and Weta FX. 221. Music. Main article, Superman, 2025 soundtrack. In December 2023, Gunn said most of the film's score and major themes had been written, but the composer had not been announced because their deal had not been finalized. 222. In February 2024, he announced that John Murphy was composing the score after doing so for the Suicide Squad, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, 2022, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. 223. In December, Gunn confirmed that Murphy was using a new version of John Williams's Superman March theme from the 1978 Superman film. Gunn considered Williams's score to be one of the greatest of all time and had associated his theme with Superman from the start of the film's development. He saw the theme's inclusion as one way for the film to harken back to past iterations. Unlike other projects by Gunn, Superman only features 2 licensed songs, Punk Rocker by Teddy Bears and Iggy Pop, and 5 Years Time by Noah and the Whale. 224. 225. 226. In April 2025, David Fleming was revealed to be contributing some music and sharing credit for the score with Murphy. 227. 217. On the soundtrack, Saffron's daughter Lulu performs the Mighty Crab Joyce theme with the American rock band Foxy Shazam, with Lulu and the band's member Eric Nally on vocals, and written by Gunn and Nally. 228, 233 to 245. Marketing. Comic book cover with Superman sitting in the clouds above a city. Writer and director James Gunn took specific inspiration from the comic book series All-Star Superman, 2005 to 2008, by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely. He included the cover art for the comic's first issue, pictured, in the film's announcement. For the January 2023 announcement, Gunn used the cover art of All-Star Superman's first issue to represent the film. 229. He also posted the cover on social media in March when confirming that he would direct the film. 230. Gunn marked the beginning of filming in February 2024 by posting a picture of Superman's logo 187, which commentators noted for its visual similarity to the character's costume in the Kingdom Come comic book, albeit with the classic yellow and red color scheme. 231. 232. Safran promoted the film on stage during Warner Bros.' Cinemacon presentation in April, with Gunn, Corenswet, and Brosnahan appearing via video messages. 233. The panel unveiled a full look at the Superman emblem, and Gunn said he planned to attend the following year's event in person with the cast to initiate a Summer of Superman. 234. Gunn released a first-look image of Corenswet in costume in early May, which depicts Superman suiting up while an alien-looking threat attacks in the background. Commentary on the image focused on the return of red briefs, which were not included in the Man of Steel design. Elements of the costume were also compared to Jim Lee's design used in DC Comics' 2011 New 52 initiative. The character's pose and the attack in the background led to speculation about Superman's characterization in the film and what threats he may face. 230. 235. 236. A display inspired by the film's Fortress of Solitude was included at Warner Bros.' Licensing Expo booth in Las Vegas later in May. 237. Gunn released the first image of Krypto, alongside Corenswet Superman, in October 2024 in honor of Adopt a Shelter Dog Month. 49. A motion poster was released on December 16 featuring a slowed-down rendition of John Williams's Superman March with an electric guitar opening. 238. 239. Jordan Morrow at Variety described the poster as an homage to Christopher Reeve's portrayal of Superman in the 1978 film, but with quieter, more thoughtful music. A teaser trailer was shown at a press screening that day ahead of a public release on December 19. 238. The trailer had over 250 million global views in its first 24 hours, making it the most viewed and discussed trailer for a DC Comics or Warner Brothers film in that time period. 240. Watercolor Music released Murphy's music for the trailer as a single, titled Theme from Superman, trailer version, later that day. 239. Animal Planet's Puppy Bowl XXI on Super Bowl Sunday in February 2025 was co-sponsored by the film, with Gunn and OZU appearing to introduce new footage. A Crypto Superplay award was presented to one of the puppies participating in the game. 241. At the end of the month, DC Studios hired Ricky Strauss, a former marketing executive at Apple TV Plus and Disney, to consult on the film's marketing following the exit of Warner Brothers global marketing chief Josh Goldstein the prior month. 242. Safran said Zaslav had rallied the entire company behind the film in a similar way to previous successful Warner Brothers films such as Barbie, 2023. 243. Gunn, Corenswet, Brosnahan, and Holt promoted the film during Warner Bros.' Cinemacan panel in April 2025, where an extended sequence and new behind-the-scenes footage were shown. 244. 245. The extended footage was later released online and shown before IMAX screenings for the Warner Brothers film A Minecraft Movie. 246. 247. While the behind-the-scenes footage was released on April 18 to coincide with the anniversary of Superman's debut in Action Comics No. 1, 1938. 248. Commentators highlighted the focus on Crypto and his relationship with Superman in the extended footage, and the behind-the-scenes footage's emphasis on Superman's hopefulness alongside the elaborate sets and costumes. 246. 247. 248. An official trailer was released on May 14, which Rafe Look at Bleeding Cool called a banger, highlighting its action, humor, and supporting DC characters. He said the trailer proved that Superman was in the right hands with Gunn's interpretation and that it was definitely the Superman we need in our lives, now more than ever. 249. IGN's Wesley Yinpool highlighted Kent and Lane's relationship, and felt the trailer's interview highlighted the ethics of Superman's intervention in a foreign war, which Polygon's Michael McWherter also commented upon, noting that the trailer questioned if Superman's actions represented American values. 250. 251. A prequel junior novel, Superman, Welcome to Metropolis, was released in early June, and explores the early career of Clark and Lois at the Daily Planet, the Justice Gang members, and features the character Metallo. 252. A final trailer was released on June 11, 1 month before the film's release. Jermaine Lucie of Gizmodo called it the most revealing trailer to date and highlighted the trailer's visual effects and action sequences and its depiction of Luthor's hatred for Superman. 253. Total Films George Marston speculated that Superman would be working both with and against the Justice Gang based on scenes of him collaborating with Mr. Terrific and Gardner being at odds with Superman, while Escobedo Valenzuela from MovieWeb felt Luthor's initial monologue being superseded by Superman's optimism was a brilliant way to construct this trailer. 254. 255. Producer Peter Safran in June 2025. Superman producer Peter Safran promoting the film in Manila in June 2025. The first 30 minutes of the film were shown at Cine Europe in Barcelona on June 17, 256. 257 and in Manila on June 19, as the start of the Superman World Tour, which took place in 7 major international cities leading up to the film's release. 258. 259. Veda Luna Zabala at Nylon Manila described the footage as fun, colorful, and hopeful, and highlighted Holt's performance. 258. An 11 feet, 3.4 m, tall Superman statue modeled after Corenswet was suspended at the top of the Shard in London on July 1, encouraging pedestrians to look up. This was the highest public sculpture put on display in the United Kingdom, and it took 4 months to be crafted. 260. 25. Pop-up Daily Planet newsstand kiosks were also installed at multiple locations throughout London. 261 Warner Brothers hosted a fan event for Superman on July 2nd, at Cineworld Leicester Square in London. 262 The film partnered with Fandango and Amazon Prime for early access theatrical screenings on July 8, which became Fandango's best-selling first-day pre-sale tickets for that year, surpassing the general pre-sale tickets for Marvel's The Fantastic Four: First Steps, also releasing that month. 263 The Lola Cars Formula E team ran a special livery based on the film for the 2025 Berlin E-Prix. 264 Funko and McFarlane Toys are set to release action figures based on the film. 266 The Hollywood Reporter reported that DC Studios and Warner Brothers could spend approximately $200 million on marketing for a total cost around $400 million, with the production budget $181. Though Variety reported that marketing cost $125 million. 146. Leading up to the film's release and amid the mass deportations during the second presidency of U.S. President Donald Trump, Gunn said that Superman is the story of America and an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country, but for me it is mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value and is something we have lost. 267. This received backlash from some supporters of Trump and members of the MAGA movement, with some pundits on Fox News calling the film super woke, but Gunn responded that Superman was for everyone, explaining that it was about kindness, and I think that's something everyone can relate to. 268. Release. Theatrical. Superman premiered at the TCL Chinese Theater on July 7, 2025 269 and was released theatrically by Warner Brothers Pictures internationally on July 9 270 120 and in the United States and China on July 11 187 270 in IMAX 271 Real D 3D, Dolby Cinema 272 Screen X, and 4DX. 273. In January 2025, the estate of Superman co-creator Joe Shuster filed a lawsuit against WBD, asserting that the rights to distribute the film in some international territories had reverted to them based on different copyright laws, the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Australia in 2017, and Canada in 2021. 274. 2 months later, WBD filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit, citing prior copyright lawsuits being rejected. 275 and it was dismissed in April, due to a lack of jurisdiction. 276 The lawsuit was refiled with the New York Supreme Court a month later, with an injunction requested. 277 but the motion was denied in early June. 278. Home media. The film was released for digital download on August 15, 2025, and will be released on Ultra HD Blu-ray, and DVD on September 23. The home media releases include deleted scenes, a making-of documentary, a commentary by Gunn, and various featurettes. 279 Gunn said Superman was released early on digital platforms to allow people to watch the film before the second season of Peacemaker, which has links to the film. 280. Reception. Box office. As of September 11, 2025, Superman has grossed $353.6 million in the United States and Canada, and $261 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $614.6 million. 3-4 According to Variety, the film is expected to earn a theatrical profit of approximately $125 million. 281. At the start of June 2025, The Wrap estimated that Superman needed to gross more than $500 million worldwide to become profitable at the box office, but that it would need to earn around $700 million to be considered a success. 2 The Hollywood Reporter estimated that the film could have a domestic opening weekend of around $175 million and a potential global total of over $1 billion, based on the first full trailer's engagement metrics, while noting its production and marketing costs accounted for a total of around $400 million. 181 3 weeks ahead of the film's release, Superman was projected to earn $125 to $145 million, or approximately $135 million in its domestic opening weekend, which would be higher than the debut of Man of Steel, $116 million. DC Studios and Warner Brothers estimated a more conservative debut of $90 to $125 million, while the potential $175 million debut remained projected, which would surpass the debut of Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, $166 million, as the biggest opening for a DC film. 282-283 in the week of release, Deadline Hollywood projected the film's domestic opening gross to be around $115 to $130 million. 284. On July 10, Deadline Hollywood reported the film earned $2.8 million from Tuesday previews for an estimated total $21 million including Thursday previews. 285 final Thursday previews would see the film make $22.5 million, when counting both theatrical and Tuesday Amazon Prime screenings, $2.8 million. This was, at the time, the best preview box office for any film released in the year 2025 before The Fantastic Four: First Steps surpassed it 2 weeks later, as well as a record for any film involving James Gunn. 286-285. This was also higher than the previous preview box office record Warner Brothers achieved with Barbie. 285. The film was now projected to make $115 to $121 million at the domestic box office during its opening weekend, and over $210 million worldwide during this time as well. 287-285. The film made $56.5 million on its first day, the second highest of 2025, behind a Minecraft movie. 288. It ended up debuting to $125 million, finishing atop the box office, and becoming the biggest opening weekend for a standalone Superman film ahead of Man of Steel, 2013, which opened to $116.6 million, as well as the second biggest opening weekend for a film featuring Superman, behind Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, $166 million in 2016. It also scored the third highest opening weekend for a 2025 film, behind a Minecraft movie and Lilo and Stitch. 285. In its second weekend, the film remained in first place, grossing $57 million. 289. This marked a 54% drop, which was deemed better than other superhero films of 2025. Up until that point, such American Samoa Captain America, Brave New World, 68%, and Thunderbolts *, 56%, 290 attributed to positive word of mouth, with Comscore analyst Paul Dergarabdian pointing out that the film's second weekend drop is indicative of a marketplace that's embracing the film. 289. In its third weekend, the film was dethroned by newcomer The Fantastic Four: First Steps, finishing second, earning $24.9 million, a 57% drop. 291-292. By the end of July, Superman became the first DC film since The Batman, 2022, to earn over $300 million domestically, 293, and in late August, it became the first DC film, also since The Batman, to earn $600 million globally. 294. In its opening weekend, the film made an estimated $95 million from international markets, for a total gross of $220 million. The film's highest grossing territories include the United Kingdom, $9.8 million, Mexico, $8.8 million, China, $6.6 million, Brazil, $5.9 million, Australia, $5.3 million, France, $4.2 million, Korea, $4.2 million, India, $3.8 million, Spain, $2.9 million, and Japan, $2.5 million. 295 Its perceived underperformance outside of the United States and Canada, particularly in markets like China, where it debuted in 4th place. 296 was partially attributed to the character's American patriotic roots, with David A. Gross from the Frankie Sear movie consulting firm stating Superman has always been identified as a quintessentially American character and story, and in some parts of the world, America is currently not enjoying its greatest popularity. 297. Critical response. Actors David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan in June 2025. Stars David Corenswet, left, and Rachel Brosnahan promoting the film in Manila in June 2025. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 83% of 484 critics' reviews are positive. The website's consensus reads, pulling off the heroic feat of fleshing out a dynamic new world while putting its champions big, beating heart front and center, this Superman flies high as a man of tomorrow grounded in the here and now. 298. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 68 out of 100, based on 58 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. 299 critics found the film to be fun, colorful, and earnest, although some felt it was overstuffed with characters and ideas. The performances of Corenswet, Brosnahan, and Holt were praised. 302 audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on an A+ to F scale, the same as Man of Steel. Those surveyed by PostTrack gave it an 86% positive score and 74% said they would definitely recommend it. 285. IGN rated the film 8/10, calling it wonderfully entertaining and heartfelt. 303 Scott Phillips of Forbes praised its colorful visuals, humor, and light-hearted tone. 304 Trace Sover of Awardswatch welcomed its no origin story, no crossover approach. 305 Jake Cole of Slant Magazine argued the character endures because he transcends passing trends. 306 Cody Derricks of Next Best Picture felt the casting is as pitch-perfect as Christopher Reeves was decades ago. 307 Writing for NPR, Glenn Weldon gave the film a positive review, stating that it delivers a Superman deeply in touch with his humanity, and perfectly representative of the essence of the character. 308. Liz Shannon Miller of Consequence called it, a movie that doesn't sacrifice its titular character in service to franchise building. Instead, it focuses on celebrating the values that Superman himself has embodied from the beginning. 309. William Bibiani of The Rap wrote, James Gunn tried to make a great Superman movie, one that embraces the wonder of the character as an action hero and a moral paragon, which derives its drama from how people react to his faith in us. He succeeded. 310. Nicholas Barber at BBC Culture gave the film 3 stars out of 5, and wrote, it takes some gall to make a zillion-dollar Hollywood blockbuster that feels so much like an eccentric sci-fi B-movie. 311. Alyssa Wilkinson of the New York Times called it a goofy yet charming take and compared it to Iron Man, 2008. 312 Variety's Owen Gleiberman praised the performances and gave it a positive review. 313 David Crow of Den of Geek said the film achieves true grace when it narrows its focus to Lois and Clark. 314. Among more negative reviews, Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian gave the film 2 stars out of 5, criticizing its pointless, cluttered backstory and yet another CGI city-leveling finale. 315 In a 2 out of 5 review for Empire, Sophie Butcher described it as bold and bright and full of color and cosmic invention, but added that the final act sinks into CGI chaos, with an unsatisfying climax, an eye-roll-inducing reveal, a restlessly intermittent tone, and an insistence on prioritizing things and people we don't really care about over core characters. 316. Eric Kane gave the film 2 out of 5 for Forbes, writing that the massive cast finds itself in an overstuffed, badly paced plot and that the story moves from one action sequence to the next, racing forward at a breakneck pace that leaves little room for character development. 317. Mark Kermode described the film as tonally all over the place and messy, but that the film was unexpectedly good fun and overall enjoyable. 318. The film features a war between the fictional nations of Boravia, an aggressor backed by Luthor, and the United States and its neighbor Jarhanpur, which some critics argue mirrors the real-world dynamics of the Israel-Palestine conflict, particularly the Gaza war that began in 2023. Gunn has maintained that the script predated the conflict and was not intended as an allegory. 319. Accolades. Superman was nominated for Most Anticipated Film at the 8th Astra Mid-Season Movie Awards. 320. The trailer fight was nominated for Best Summer 2025 Blockbuster Trailer at the 2025 Golden Trailer Awards. 321. Future. In June 2025, Gunn said he had begun writing a follow-up to Superman that would not be a direct sequel, but would feature Superman in a major role. 322. 323. Corenswet and Brosnahan had options for a potential sequel, but following Superman's release in July, a direct sequel was not expected to be imminently announced. 146. In August, Zaslav confirmed that Gunn was writing and directing the next film in the Superfamily, 324, which Gunn said he had finished writing a script treatment for. He described it as the next story in the Superman saga and hoped to begin production soon. 325. Gunn announced in September that the film was titled Man of Tomorrow and was scheduled for release on July 9, 2027. Corenswet and Holt were expected to reprise their roles. 326. Gunn said he had finished a draft of the script. 327. And filming was scheduled to start around April 2026. He said Man of Tomorrow was as much a Lex movie as it is a Superman movie and would include the pair working together against a bigger threat. 328. Also in July 2025, Gunn was reported to be considering spin-off television series based on supporting characters from the film, such as Gathaji's Mr. Terrific and Gisando's Jimmy Olsen. 329. Journalist Jeff Snyder reported that Gisando was expected to star in a Jimmy Olsen series for the streaming service HBO Max, which would introduce the comic book villain Gorilla Grodd to the DCU. David Packard Corenswet, /KRNSWT/ born July 8, 1993, is an American actor. After graduating from Juilliard in 2016, he began guest starring in television series, including House of Cards in 2018. 2. He played lead roles in the Netflix series The Politician, 2019 to 2020, and Hollywood, 2020, both created by Ryan Murphy. 3. 4. In 2022, he starred in the films Look Both Ways and Pearl, and the HBO miniseries We Own the City. After supporting roles in the film Twisters and the miniseries Lady in the Lake, both 2024, he rose to prominence with his portrayal of the titular superhero in James Gunn's DC Universe film Superman, 2025. Early life and education. Corenswet was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 5 and grew up there 6 and in Lower Merion, a Philadelphia suburb. 7. His father, John Corenswet, was from a Jewish family in New Orleans. 8, 9, 10 and worked as a stage actor in New York City for many years. 5 before becoming a lawyer. 11 His mother is also a lawyer. 12 His maternal grandfather is the American author and creator of the Choose Your Own Adventure book series, Edward Packard. 13, 14, 15 Corenswet graduated from the Shipley School and attended the University of Pennsylvania for a year before transferring to the Juilliard School, where he earned a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Drama in 2016. 5, 16, 17 Career beginnings, 2002 to 2018. As a child actor, Corenswet appeared in numerous professional theater productions, including the Arden Theater's 2002 production 18 of Arthur Miller's All My Sons 19, the Philadelphia Shakespeare Festival's 2003 production of Macbeth 20, the Walnut Street Theater's 2003 production of La Vie en Bleu 2120, and the People's Light and Theater Company's 2004 production of The Forgiving Harvest 2223, among others. 18. Corenswet wrote the screenplay for and acted in Following Chase, 2011, directed by Greg Corhan. 24. He next co-wrote, produced, and starred in a 2-season sketch comedy web series, Mo and Jerry Weather, 2014 to 2016, along with fellow Juilliard grad Adam Langdon. 25. In 2016, director Rob Reiner cast Corenswet as a co-lead in his planned television series, The Tap, set at Yale College in 1969. Corenswet played a student. 26. USA Network ordered the pilot episode 27, which was filmed in 2017, but declined to pick up the series. 28. In Corenswet's first film role after graduating from Juilliard, he starred as Michael Lawson in Affairs of State, 2018, a political thriller. The film also stars Thora Birch, Mimi Rogers, and Adrian Grenier. Los Angeles Times described the film as well acted. 29. Corenswet then appeared in several guest star roles, including in House of Cards, Elementary, and Instinct. 25. Rising popularity, 2019, present. Corenswet as Clark Kent on the set of Superman in 2024. In Netflix's The Politician, 2019 to 2020, directed by Ryan Murphy, he portrayed River Barkley, the lover and high school political rival of Peyton Hobart, Ben Platt. Vanity Fair described River as a wealthy, sporty, straight-A student. 30. 31. 32. Corenswet next starred as Jack Costello 33-34 in Hollywood, 2020, a Netflix limited series about the post-World War II film business in Los Angeles. The project reunited him with Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan, the creators of The Politician. Corenswet was also an executive producer on the series. 35. Men's Health magazine praised Corenswet's performance as that of a breakout lead. 36. IndieWire called it another star-proving turn from David Corenswet. 37. In We Own This City, 2022, a fact-based 38 HBO limited series from The Wire's writers and executive producers David Simon and George Pelekinos, Corenswet co-starred as the veteran police investigator David McDougal, whose work in 2016 helped uncover years of corruption in the Gunn Trace Task Force of the Baltimore Police Department. 39. 40. Also in 2022, Corenswet co-starred as Jake in Look Both Ways, a Netflix original romantic comedy drama film. 41. Corenswet then co-starred as the projectionist in Pearl, a feature film directed by T.I. West and released in theaters by A24 in 2022. 42. 43. In 2024, Corenswet co-starred with Lucy Boynton, Justin H. Min, and Austin Crute in The Greatest Hits, a film for Searchlight Pictures written, directed, and produced by Ned Benson. 44. Described as a musical time travel romance, the film premiered at the 2024 South by Southwest Film and TV Festival. 45. 46. Also in 2024, Corenswet played Scott, a member of a team of tornado chasers, in Twisters, a disaster film. 47. Corenswet also appeared alongside Natalie Portman in the Apple TV Plus series Lady in the Lake, directed by Almahar El. 48. In a November 2019 interview, he expressed interest in portraying Superman and hoped to eventually see a bright and optimistic version of the character after providing positive feedback about the dark and gritty tone in Man of Steel, 2013. 49. In June 2023, Corenswet was cast as Superman/Clark Kent and his clone Ultraman in the DC Studios film Superman from director James Gunn. The first live-action film in the DC Universe, DCU, it was released in theaters in July 2025 and received widespread critical praise. He will reprise the role in the upcoming 2027 film, Man of Tomorrow. 50-51-52 In October 2024, Corenswet was cast in Jonathan Levin's upcoming film Mr. Irrelevant as football player John Tuggle, the last player chosen in the 1983 NFL Draft. 53. Personal life. In March 2023, Corenswet and Julia Warner were married at Immaculate Conception Church in New Orleans. It was an interfaith wedding ceremony that included both his wife's Catholic customs and his father's Jewish customs. It was officiated by a priest and a rabbi. 54. They have one daughter, born in 2024. In April 2025 it was reported that they had moved back to Pennsylvania to raise her. 55. Corenswet has stated that he was raised Buddhist, but not in a religious sense, and that his family went to a mindfulness retreat center for a week every summer when he was growing up. Nicholas Caradoc Holt, born December 7, 1989, is an English actor. He has received numerous accolades, including a nomination for a British Academy Film Award, 2 Golden Globe nominations, and a Primetime Emmy Award nomination. He is also recognized for his portrayal of Lex Luthor in the new DC Universe, DCU. Holt began acting at the age of 3, making his film debut in Intimate Relations, 1996. He first gained critical attention at the age of 11 for his performance as Marcus in About a Boy, 2002, which established him as a promising young talent in British cinema. At 17, he earned international recognition for his role as Tony Stoneham in the British television series Skins, 2007 to 2008, a performance that helped him transition from a child star to an actor capable of portraying complex, darker characters. Holt returned to television a decade later with a critically acclaimed performance as Emperor Peter III of Russia in the series The Great, 2020 to 2023. Holt's filmography spans a wide range of genres and includes notable roles in A Single Man, 2009, X-Men, First Class, 2011, and its sequels, 2014 to 2019, Warm Bodies, 2013, Jack the Giant Slayer, 2013, Mad Max, Fury Road, 2015, The Favorite, 2018, The Menu, 2022, Renfield, 2023, The Order, 2024, Juror Number 2, 2024, Nosferatu, 2024, and Superman, 2025. In addition to his live-action work, Holt has established a strong reputation as a voice actor, contributing to narrations, audiobooks, video games, and animated productions. His voice credits include narrating the audiobook Slam, 2007, voicing Elliot in the video game Fable 3, 2010, Ace in Underdogs, 2013, Fiverr in the British miniseries Watership Down, 2018, Patrick in the adult stop-motion series Crossing Swords, 2020 to 2021, and John Arbuckle in the animated film The Garfield Movie, 2024. Holt has also appeared on stage, notably starring in the play New Boy at the Trafalgar Theatre in London in 2009. Recognized for his impact in the entertainment industry, he was included in the Forbes annual 30 Under 30 list in 2012 and is a member of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Early life. Nicholas Caradoc Holt was born on December 7, 1989 in Wokingham, Berkshire, England. To Glenys, née Brown, a piano teacher, and Roger Holt, a commercial pilot. 3 For his middle name, Caradoc, pronounced /ca.ra.doc/, originates from Middle Welsh and translates to beloved one. 5. His paternal great-aunt, Anna Neagle, was a renowned stage and film actress, celebrated during the 1930s and 1940s. 6. Holt has 3 siblings, an older brother, James, born in 1977, and 2 sisters, Clarista, born in 1992, and Rosanna, born in 1984. 27. Holt spent much of his early years in the village of Sindlesham, located in the borough of Wokingham, where his family lived on a quiet estate. 8. His older siblings were passionate about acting and dancing from a young age, participating in classes and auditions. As a child, Holt often accompanied them to these events, which sparked his own interest in acting. Reflecting on his childhood in a 2011 interview with The Guardian, he described his upbringing as pretty outdoorsy and normal. 9. Noting that he and his siblings enjoyed running around in the garden and making tree houses. 9. He attended the Coombs Infant and Nursery School before moving on to Arborfield Church of England Junior School for his primary education. 10. Holt also developed a passion for ballet during his early years and performed as a dancer with several high-profile companies, participating in regional productions. He notably took part in prestigious productions of Swan Lake and the Nutcracker with the English National Ballet, showcasing his versatility and dedication to the performing arts. 11. However, in 2002, at the age of 12, Holt decided to shift his focus towards acting and enrolled at the renowned Sylvia Young Theatre School, marking the beginning of his formal training in the craft. 12. Initially, Holt viewed acting more as a hobby than a potential career path. In an interview with the Daily Telegraph, he candidly admitted that he wasn't in love with it. "I just enjoyed it. It was like playing for a football team. When you got a part, it was great. And meeting new people. It was an exciting new world." 13. His attitude towards acting was that of a young boy discovering a new and thrilling activity rather than a serious professional pursuit. 13. At the age of 14, Holt left his previous school and attended Ranelagh School 13, a Church of England secondary school in Bracknell, Berkshire, where he continued his education while balancing his growing interest in acting. 13. By 2006, he made the decision to further his studies at Farnborough Sixth Form College in Hampshire, where he studied A-levels in English literature, biology, and psychology. 7. Despite his academic commitments, Holt's acting career continued to gain momentum, and he secured the role of Tony Stoneham in the groundbreaking TV series Skins. After filming the first season, he chose to leave his studies behind and dedicate himself fully to acting, marking the turning point in his career. 7. Apart from his acting pursuits, Holt also had a musical background. As a child, he played the trombone and was an active member of his local choir. 2. Holt played basketball for the Reading Rockets, who played in the English Basketball League. 14. He was later appointed as the club's ambassador. 14. Career. See also, List of roles and awards of Nicholas Holt. 1996 to 2005, early career. Holt's acting potential was discovered at the age of 3 by a theater director who noticed him during a play starring Holt's older brother. 13. Impressed by Holt's ability to concentrate well, the director offered him a role in his upcoming stage production of The Caucasian Chalk Circle. 13. Holt began attending auditions, later recalling, "I remember them saying, 'If you want to do it, go ahead, but it's not necessary,' a quote that reflected his parents' relaxed attitude toward show business. 13. He quickly realized he both enjoyed acting and had a natural talent for it, making his cinematic debut at age 5 in the film Intimate Relations, 1996, as Bobby Beasley, the grandson of Julie Walters. "I was 5 years old," he recalled. 15. For the audition, I had to sit under a table and pretend to eat cake. "I thought, this is easy, I could do this all day," he said in an interview with The Guardian. 15. From then on, he became a preferred choice for roles requiring an unconventional child who seemed intelligent even when silent, as described by a journalist from the Daily Telegraph. 16. He went on to appear in several British television series, including Casualty, 1996, 17 Silent Witness, 1998, 18 Ruth Rendell Mysteries, 1999, 19 The Bill, 2000, 20 Magic Grandad, 2001, 21 Holby City, 2001, 22 Doctors, 2001, 23 Waking the Dead, 2001, 24 World of Pub, 2001, 25 Murder in Mind, 2002, 26 and Judge John Deed, 2002, 27 All staples of British daytime television. In 2000, Holt auditioned for the roles of Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter film series, 2001 to 2011, in front of director Chris Columbus, but was ultimately not cast. 28. At age 11, Holt landed his breakthrough role as Marcus Brewer in the film About a Boy, 2002. 29. Starring alongside Hugh Grant, Toni Collette, and Rachel Weisz, and directed by Chris and Paul Weitz, Holt portrayed an eccentric 12-year-old boy, the son of a single, suicidal, hippie mother, who becomes the unlikely friend of a selfish adult. Initially reluctant to audition due to the long casting process and potential disruption to his education, Holt nevertheless took part in the early auditions and eventually secured the role. A review in The Guardian noted that, from any angle, Holt was a genuine child star, and the film's success owed much to the mature and fully developed performances by its leads, including Holt, who, despite his young age, matched the performances of his co-stars. 31. The film was both a critical and commercial success. 29 and Holt's performance received widespread acclaim, with the Daily Telegraph's David Thomas crediting the film's appeal in part to Holt's acting. 30. Following About a Boy, Holt continued to refine his craft in television and independent productions. At 13, he appeared in the series Keen Eddie, 2004, 32 and had a guest role in Mystery Hunters, 2005. 33. At 15, he made his Hollywood debut as Mike Spritzel, the son of Nicolas Cage's character in The Weather Man, 2005, directed by Gore Verbinski. 34-35. That same year, he starred as Ralph Compton in the semi-autobiographical film Wah Wah, 2005, written and directed by actor Richard E. Grant. 36. Set during the final years of the Swaziland Protectorate in the late 1960s, Holt portrayed a boy grappling with the disintegration of his family. The film featured Gabriel Byrne, Emily Watson, and Julie Walters. 37. 2006 to 2010, Skins and West End debut. A young, blue-eyed, Caucasian man with short, dark hair wearing a dark blue jacket, a white shirt, and a black tie against a blurred background of yellow-green tree foliage. Holt at the 2009 Santa Barbara International Film Festival. The famous and challenging transition from child actor to an adult career. 38 came with Holt's portrayal of Tony Stoneham in the first generation of the British E4 series Skins, 2007 to 2008. 39 In this role, he showcased all the qualities of a leading character, transforming him into a contemporary cultural icon due to the series' undeniable cultural relevance. 40 Both Skins and Holt became a social media phenomenon, marking a revolution in the English television landscape during the first decade of the century and establishing the show as a true cult classic. 41 Skins was a daring series for its depiction of youth behaviors far from idyllic, which initially made Holt skeptical about his ability to portray Tony, a manipulative and self-centered anti-hero. 42 He identified more closely with the secondary character Sid Jenkins. 43 Ultimately, the series was a success, and his performance was well received. The character gained popularity, and Holt attracted significant media attention. 39 Skins won the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, BAFTA, Philip Audience Award. 44 and Holt was nominated for the Golden Nymph Award for Best Actor in a Drama Series and the Walker's Homegrown Talent Award. 45 Critic Elliot David praised his performance in a 2016 retrospective review, writing that he maintained the inexplicable core of his character throughout. 46. During his time on Skins, Holt felt overwhelmed by the attention he received and at one point considered quitting acting altogether. Instead, he left sixth form college Farnborough, after the first season and decided to focus solely on his acting career. 46. Holt starred in the television film Coming Down the Mountain, 2007, 47 produced for British channel BBC One, alongside actor Tommy Jessup, who has Down syndrome. The film and Holt's performance received positive reviews, with some media outlets describing it as one of the most rewarding productions of the year. 48. The film was nominated for a BAFTA award in 2008. 49. That same year, Holt took on an episodic role in the series Wallander, 2008, starring Kenneth Branagh. 50. Around that time, he auditioned for the role of Prince Caspian in The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, 2008. 51. In a later interview, he stated, "One of my worst auditions of all time was definitely for Prince Caspian." 52. He later made his West End theatre debut as Mark 53, the protagonist in William Sutcliffe's coming-of-age play New Boy, 2009. 54. The production premiered at Trafalgar Studios 55 and had record-breaking ticket sales. 54. 55. Also in 2009, he took part in the Help Give Them a Voice campaign, starring in a powerful educational clip that highlights the difficult situation of a victim, Holt, in need of a social worker. 56. The purpose of the ad was to reduce the stigma surrounding social workers, which had arisen from a well-known case of violence in the United Kingdom. 56. Cast of A Single Man at the 66th Venice Film Festival in 2009. Fashion designer Tom Ford, in his directorial debut, cast him as Kenny Potter in the film A Single Man, 2009, 57, based on Christopher Isherwood's 1964 novel of the same name, alongside actors Colin Firth and Julianne Moore. 58. Ford had yet to find the right actor since the originally chosen one had left the film just days before shooting began. 59. And in London, Holt was recommended to record some scenes and send them to Los Angeles by courier. 2 days later, he was woken up by a call at 3 a.m. informing him that he had been chosen for the role. 60. For his performance, he was nominated for the BAFTA Rising Star Award at the 2010 ceremony. 61. 62. The media described A Single Man as Holt's first adult role. 63. Portraying Kenny as a spontaneous character. 64. Since this was his first time playing an American character. 65. Holt worked on perfecting his American accent. 66. 67. Filmmaker Louis Leterrier cast him in a minor role in the Australian-American action fantasy blockbuster Clash of the Titans, 2010, portraying Eusebius in the story based on the myth of Perseus. The film also starred Sam Worthington, Liam Neeson, and Ralph Fiennes. Clash of the Titans was a global box office success, grossing $500 million worldwide. 68. Holt provided the voice for the character Elliot in Fable 3, 2010, an action role-playing game developed by Lionhead Studios and published by Microsoft Game Studios for Xbox 360 and Windows. 69. The game, a sequel to Fable 2, 2008. 2011 to 2016, commercial success with X-Men and Mad Max. Holt promoting X-Men, Days of Future Past at the 2013 San Diego Comic-Con. Nicholas Hoult and James McAvoy speaking at the 2015 San Diego Comic-Con International, for X-Men, Apocalypse, at the San Diego Convention Center in San Diego, California. The cast of Dark Phoenix at the 2019 WonderCon in Anaheim, California. Holt's portrayal of Hank McCoy/Beast has become one of his most recognizable roles. 70. He first played the character in X-Men, First Class, 2011, and reprised the role in its sequels X-Men, Days of Future Past, 2014, X-Men, Apocalypse, 2016, and Dark Phoenix, 2019. Hank McCoy is a young and brilliant scientist who is part of the original X-Men team. Initially, he is a normal man with exceptional intelligence and skills in genetic biology. Throughout the story, it is revealed that Hank has a mutation that grants him great strength and agility. Hank undergoes an experimental treatment to try to hide his mutation, but the process has side effects and ultimately transforms him into the monstrous figure known as Beast. He works alongside Charles Xavier and maintains a close relationship with Mystique, who has a strong influence on him due to their shared ideals about the acceptance of mutants. Filmmaker Matthew Vaughn stated that Holt was the right choice for the role due to his ability to portray someone gentle with the capability of being fierce. 7172 Holt said he crafted his own version of Beast by drawing inspiration from Kelsey Grammer's portrayal of the character in X-Men, The Last Stand, 2006, 73 aiming to emulate Grammer's charm and eloquence. To prepare for the role, he learned to speak in a similar dialect to Grammer's without directly imitating him. 73 He also underwent physical training and weight gain to match the character's physique. 74 The transformation into Beast required up to 4 hours of makeup application. 75 Holt described playing Beast as a liberating experience, stating that it was fun to suddenly be able to break loose. When you're wearing the makeup, you can perform big. You get to have two very different performances. 75 Throughout the X-Men prequel saga, Holt starred alongside James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Kevin Bacon, and Hugh Jackman, among others. The first 3 films were successful. First Class grossed approximately $353 million worldwide against a production budget of $160 million. 77 Days of Future Past, 2014, directed by Bryan Singer, earned over $747 million worldwide. 78 While Apocalypse, 2016, grossed approximately $540 million. 79 However, Dark Phoenix, 2019, disappointed with a total global revenue of $252 million against a budget of $200 million. 82 During an interview with Jeremy Clarkson on Top Gear, Series 19, Episode 5, which aired on February 3, 2013, 83 Holt shared an anecdote about leaving the set dressed and made up as Beast, approaching a group of golfers at a nearby course, giving them a few tips on improving their swing, and then walking away without any further explanation. 84 Astute in his decision-making, Holt began prioritizing lead roles while continuing his success with the X-Men film series. In Warm Bodies, 2013, Holt plays R, a young zombie who experiences an emotional and personal awakening. 85 The film, directed by Jonathan Levine, is a cult romantic comedy based on the novel of the same name by Isaac Marion. 86 The story is presented from R's perspective, who narrates his thoughts and feelings as he begins to question his existence and his nature as a living dead. In the film, he worked alongside actors Teresa Palmer and John Malkovich. 87 Levine mentioned that he had difficulty finding a suitable actor to play R until he met Holt, who was drawn to the project and described it as much more than a horror movie due to its multiple literary and pop culture references. 86 And even more so because of the role, which left me speechless. 86 Holt was inspired by Edward Scissorhands, 1990, 86 as the central characters of both films share similar struggles. The preparation for the role involved working with Cirque du Soleil artists. 88 With Holt stating, "We took off our shoes in a dance studio, as if we were growing out of the wall, making our bodies feel very heavy." 88 The film received a positive response from both critics and audiences. 89 Holt is also described as an extremely appealing actor, who is charm personified in his role of the living dead. 90 The role of R was challenging for Holt, as he had to portray a character who initially does not speak much and has limited facial expressions, but through narration and small interactions. 88 He shows his emotional evolution. His performance was praised for his ability to convey vulnerability and tenderness, which contributed to the appeal of his character. 90 In Jack the Giant Slayer, 2013, Holt plays Jack, the protagonist of the film. 91 A modern adaptation of the classic tale of Jack the Giant Killer and Jack and the Beanstalk. 92 The story follows Jack, a young farmer who, after being sent to the land of giants to rescue a kidnapped princess, finds himself in an epic struggle to save his world and prevent the giants from invading Earth. He is an action hero with a mix of vulnerability and courage. He worked alongside actors Eleanor Tomlinson, Stanley Tucci, Ian McShane, Bill Nighy, Eddie Marsan and Ewan McGregor. 93 The film received mixed reviews, but Holt's performance was generally praised. 94-95 Also in the same year, he provided the voice for the English version of the character Ace Ezekiel in the film Underdogs, 2013. 96. Holt then appeared in Jake Paltrow's science fiction film Young Ones, 2014. Set in a dystopian future where water is scarce, the film had Holt play Flem Lever, a young man who is trying to claim the land owned by the film's central character Ernest Holm. 97 Holt thought the role was unlike any of his previous work and said his character's questionable choices throughout the film intrigued him. Holt read novels written by S.E. Hinton to prepare for the role. The film was shot in a deserted location in South Africa. Holt said filming in the hot weather conditions was difficult, but the beautiful scenery helped to tell the story better. 98 He said it also made him more conscious of environmental concerns. 99 The film premiered at the 2014 Sundance Film Festival. 98 100 He starred in the film alongside Elle Fanning, Michael Shannon, and Cody Smith-McPhee. Cast and crew of Mad Max, Fury Road at the Cannes Film Festival. Holt was cast by filmmaker George Miller, in 2010, to play the character of the manic driver Nux in the action film Mad Max, Fury Road, 2015. 101 Nux, another of Holt's most recognized roles. 102 is described by Holt as a he's very enthusiastic and committed and affectionate but also kind of clumsy character. 103 While Miller describes him as a quasi-kamikaze pilot and a slave with a terminal illness. 103 Holt received praise for his fabulously unhinged performance. 104 To portray the role, Holt shaved his head and followed a strict weight loss diet. 105 The makeup process involved 8 silicone prosthetics, followed by airbrushing, clay application, and several layers of dirt across his body. 106 The makeup had to be applied 77 times, taking 2 hours each time. 106 Holt spoke about the stunts and action, describing the whole experience as terrifying. 107 But favorably comparing the stunt team and the decision to incorporate real action sequences rather than relying on green screen. 107 The director George Miller said about Holt, he's basically one of those actors that ticks every box. Not just his talent, not just his skill level and not just his ability to collaborate under difficult circumstances, but also as a human being. For such a young person, Nick is quite exceptional, mainly in the way that he displays grace under pressure. 108. The project, which spent several years in pre-production due to various difficulties. 109 was finally filmed in 2012 in the Namib Desert and was released in theaters on May 14, 2015. The fourth film in the Mad Max franchise, it starred alongside Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy. The film received critical acclaim and grossed over $378 million worldwide. 110-111 In 2015, Holt starred in 3 additional film releases. He appeared in the cinematic adaptation of Gillian Flynn's mystery novel Dark Places, 2015. Holt portrays Lyle Worth, a young man who becomes involved in an investigation into a murder that occurred during the childhood of the protagonist, Charlize Theron. 112 His character is connected to a real killers club dedicated to investigating unsolved crimes. 113. Holt with Kristen Stewart and Drake Doremus at the premiere of Equals during the 2015 Toronto International Film Festival. He also featured in Owen Harris's dark comedy Kill Your Friends, 2015, 114 based on the 2008 novel of the same name. Holt portrays Stephen Stelfox, an executive in the music industry during the 1990s in London. 115 The film is a dark satire about fierce competition and corruption in the music industry, with Stelfox's character at the center of this critique, displaying his arrogant personality and growing dehumanization throughout the story. 117. Additionally, Holt took on a role in the independent sci-fi romantic drama Equals, 2015, 119 directed by Drake Doremus, earning praise for his performance. 120 Holt portrays Silas, a man living in a futuristic society where emotions have been eradicated to prevent conflict and suffering. 121 Critic Peter Travers described Holt and his co-star Kristen Stewart as quietly devastating, while Katie Walsh, writing for the Los Angeles Times, noted that the pair were finely matched both in their androgynous beauty and in their performances of a repressed humanity. 122 123 2017 to 2019, biographical and independent films. A Caucasian man in a blue sweatshirt looking away from the camera. Holt at an event for the current war in 2017. In 2017, Holt starred in the action film Collide, originally titled Autobahn, alongside Felicity Jones and Anthony Hopkins. He plays Casey Stein, a young and skilled car thief. Throughout the plot, Casey becomes trapped in a world of crime and violence when he participates in a high-risk heist to save his girlfriend, Juliet, who is severely injured. Released in the United States in February 2017, the film received a lukewarm response from both audiences and critics. 125 largely due to poor marketing and multiple delays caused by the bankruptcy of its production company, Relativity Media. 126 127. In contrast, his next project, the indie romantic drama Newness, 2017, received more enthusiastic reviews. 128. The film premiered at the 2017 Sundance Film Festival and features Holt as one half of a Los Angeles-based couple who meet through online dating and embark on an open relationship. 129. Drake Doremus, the film's director, said Holt's role was unlike his previous work, describing it as a very complex and emotional